Hi, Merlin. Tom Peregoodoff, President and CEO of Apollo Silver Corp. We are advancing our Calico Silver Project down in San Bernardino County, California. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Good to see you, Tom. Thank you for the introduction. You've recently put out some stellar drill results, so I'm sure you want to talk about that. I'm going to poke and prod and ask some hopefully difficult questions later, but let's start off with those drill results. Could you just summarize what you've put out today?
Look at Merlin, the highest grade numbers we've put out since we started drilling last year. This really, again, provides some real further evidence of the strength of that resource that we have down at Calico and Waterloo in particular. 189 grams silver over almost 141 meters is a fantastic result that we're very, very happy with.
That intersection is double. It's a bit more than double the grade of yes, it's double the grade of Waterloo. The maiden resource that you put out for Waterloo was at 93 grams.
Correct.
So this is more than double, just more than double.
That's right.
Is that an infill hole or is it a step out? How does it relate to the existing resource?
Look at the existing resource. If you go back and refresh yourself, the resource that we did put out had a couple of areas of higher grade silver mineralization. If we raise the cutoff grade to 100 grams per ton from the 50 gram per ton, you get around, I think the number's around 70 million ounces silver in inferred, but in these two high-grade areas, and some of this drilling comes from that high-grade zone. What the confirmation of this high-grade does for us is really now start to open up some optionality for us looking forward, and you can start to really see a phased development opportunity developing, based on these much higher grade volumes, which are relatively large. We're pretty happy about it.
I can't get my head around this because the inferred resource was 116 million ounces.
Overall 166 million ounces at Calico. Waterloo is
sorry, I'm just talking about Waterloo. Just in Waterloo.
Waterloo was about
116 at an average grade of 93 grams. But what you're saying is that when you put the cutoff grade up to 100, there's 70 across the whole. Across Waterloo and Langtree, is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, got it. Good. Right, I realise we dived straight in there.
Sure.
Let's back up a bit and talk about the technical progress in the last 2 years, because the MRE, the work started in 2021 really, and where you've got to now.
Well, the work started in 2021, and that was really all desktop work, Merlin, taking the existing drilling from Asarco, Pan American, doing extensive QA/QC on that. That was really accomplished by third parties. We wanted to ensure the integrity of that database. On the back of that, then we planned the drill program, and we got drilling underway in early 2022 and completed the 10,000 meter program in November of last year. I know one of the things that's on top of everybody's mind is permitting in California, and I'm sure you're going to want to dive into that. But just as by way of introduction, if I can, we got our drill permits in about 6 weeks from application. Now, there's not many jurisdictions that I'm aware of where a 6-week turnaround in a 10,000 meter program drill permit is available anymore.
Did you to get that permit? Did you do a kind of an environmental impact assessment and submit it with your drilling permit?
We have done what's called in the U.S. context a critical constraints review. And that didn't flag any red flags for any of us. There are the area where we're operating in, especially to the northwest where Langtree sits, is within habitat deemed suitable for the desert tortoise. And so we put in appropriate mitigation strategies to ensure our impact or potential impact was absolutely minimized.
What are those? I'm just curious. What are those mitigations? Do you have little nets around things?
You got it in one, Merlin. It literally a few things. It's about ensuring in the heat they tend to seek out shade, and of course vehicles are a fantastic source of shade. So it's ensuring that there's a full vehicle check. It's also ensuring that if you drive through that part of California, you'll notice along the highways 6-inch fences basically all along the roads, and it's those 6-inch fences which ensure the tortoises stay out of harm's way.
Okay, in the UK here we have, in places we have fencing that kind of corrals newts and frogs and other wildlife underneath roads to give them a safe passage across.
Same idea. Same idea.
The drilling that you did last year was in an area that's been previously drilled. Do you
Correct.
expect the same kind of turnaround when you expand into areas where there hasn't been drilling before? I mean, is it the same critical constraints issues?
Yes, it is. So the critical constraints that we did was over the entire Calico property area, including both Langtree and Waterloo, and it included all of our private lands, as well as additional lands we have on BLM land. So it's pretty widespread.
And another question I've got to ask, you're in a desert zone. I know California's had record rains at the moment, and it's had this kind of atmospheric river come through. But what's the long-term picture on water and water use? When you're thinking ahead, what do you plan for water?
Sure. Look, there's no doubt, and I've said this all along, that water is going to be one of the critical matters as far as advancing into development is concerned. Not unusual in the Southwest context, though, Merlin, as you well know. Arizona is dry, New Mexico is dry, California is dry. And so we'll adopt some of those same approaches that they use there. Water conservation will be critical for a development. We'll have to ensure water recovery and recycling of as much water as we possibly can, ensuring that evaporation is mitigated. And then we'll need to ensure that we acquire the water rights from those water rights we can acquire from any surrounding private title that may come up for sale that does have water rights attached to it. So a water strategy is being put together this year. That is one of the things that we'll focus on as we continue to advance.
Thank you. Yeah, it'll be. I think that'll be a key de-risking factor. As you go forward. Talking about de-risking, you've done a metallurgical program, you've got a metallurgical test work underway. I think it's due to be published any minute now, isn't it? I mean, I think in some of your earlier marketing materials or earlier marketing, you indicated possibly at the end of last year. Can you give me an update on where you've got to on that metallurgical test work, because it is a crucial aspect of it?
Yeah, no, look at and that's why we wanted to undertake that phase 1 met program last year, because it truly is critical. Look at the results, or the latest word from McClellan Labs is that they're going through their final QA/QC right now, and I'm expecting to see reporting out of McClellan in the coming days. I would expect that it'll definitely be out before the end of February.
And was that metallurgical? Was that samples that you collected from the drilling last year, or were you able to locate old material? We
were able to locate old material. Pan American had drilled 3 core holes, resulting in about 1.2 tons of material from their program that they had already, in fact, sent to McClellan. But when they made the decision to exit the project, they didn't do the work on that core. So it had been in storage for a few years at McClellan, which I'm happy with, because the entire sequence is oxidized. So further oxidation is not an issue. So nature
had done the work already.
Correct.
And you had 1.2 tons. I mean, that's a fantastic amount. And were you able to trace back where the domains were? Were you able to understand the representativity.
Absolutely, and that was one of our big concerns. Was where were these samples acquired from? So we had the drill locations. In fact, the first assays we published from the project were from the core that was at McClellan Labs. So we knew exactly where they were from. We were able to composite appropriately to ensure that we've done our MET program was robust, looking at the lower grade material at 50 gram to sort of 60, 70 gram, and then the mid grade, and then the high grade material, and look at variations in recoveries through those various domains. So very happy with the representation and representativity of those samples.
Good. That's a key bugbear of mine.
Merlin, you and me both. If you look at a lot of developments out there, there tends to be an underdoing of MET work, and it is to your own peril. There's a reason why this was phase 1. We will be doing a phase 2 coming up here in 2023. That's part of our plans as well this year, is to do a second phase and acquire new materials. So as part of the drill program that we have planned for 2023.
Good. And can I just check that phase 1 covers both Waterloo and Langtree?
No, only covers Waterloo.
Oh, okay, just Waterloo. Okay, so Langtree will have to be done at another time.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at the two deposits, and again, I've said this repeatedly, Langtree is a brownfield expansion opportunity. You really, the development will focus on Waterloo. So the time to do that work, we'll make the call at the appropriate time.
Yeah, good. And when that's in some ways that gives even more granularity on the work that you're doing at Waterloo, because if you've got 1.2 tons there within one body, it really shows that you've got a decent sample size at all those grade domains.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You mentioned that it's. I know that it's oxidized all the way through, but do you ever get to kind of a transition zone at the base, or is it oxidized right to the bottom?
Look, a couple of our holes this year did get into what you would probably call transition zone, Merlin. Remember that unlike the previous operators, both Asarco and Pan American, we've always believed that there was additional untested barstow formation sitting beneath the base of the current resource estimate. And so we drilled a lot of our holes down through the sequence and into the contact with the underlying pick handle volcanics. And so we did start in some select sections in limited areas, start to see a bit more of that sort of transition type mineralization.
Okay, good. Thanks for the clarification. And you've pushed drilling about a kind of 30 or so meters below the bottom of your first mineral resource estimate, and you've also picked up the gold, the kind of a band of gold grading around 0.1 grams of gold, I think. Can you just tell me kind of about how you're going to incorporate the gold and that extra material into your into the next resource estimate?
Yeah, sure. And just for clarity, we've got intersections running almost up to 0.79 grams per ton. And this mineralization sits beneath the gold mineralization, sits beneath the silver mineralization, and is really focused along that barstow pick handle contact I mentioned earlier. Kathy Fitzgerald and her team did a great job about a year ago identifying this horizon. It was the host to the majority of the gold that was mined from the Bircham mine, the historic Bircham mine on the property, and made the realization that other groups had really not put the entire story together. So with the combination of her work plus looking at the historic data plus some mapping, she was able to put together a pretty robust story, which the drilling has really confirmed. It's proved out that this silver or gold mineralization is fairly extensive. Incorporating that, we're looking to incorporate that into the revised resource estimate, which we will get out in the early part of March. That's currently the word I hear from Stantec and my team. And we will look to incorporate those gold ounces into that resource. They will be at best inferred, just simply because of the drill spacing that we have that has intersected the horizon. But I think it's a good start. And then as far as development looking forward is concerned, look, as I said, it's all oxidized, so it isn't a stretch to see that material being moved as the development opens up and the pit advances.
Yeah. So there's potential for it to be captured in some kind of economic plan.
Yeah.
But it's a nice to have rather than a need to have, because paraphrasing.
Correct. It is a nice to have as opposed to a need to have. We've never really looked at this as a silver gold story. This really is a much more of a pure silver play, and that's the way we've always looked at it.
That all sounds great. But when I look at your share price and I compare it to some of your peers, you actually underperformed quite significantly in the bear market last year. Do you know what the market wasn't liking, or have you got any kind of particular feel for the severity of your sell-off?
I think a combination of factors. I think bear market, as you pointed out, when we completed the transaction to acquire the assets and raise the $53 million that we did back in July of 2021, I would argue we rang the bell. We really did hit the peak of that market. I think that part of the problem that we had, especially with the sell-off late in the year, was funds making those late year adjustments. Addressing their issues as far as the impact of the market on their portfolio is concerned, and tax loss selling. I think that definitely didn't help us. That I think played into it a little bit. As far as the discount to our peers is concerned, you're absolutely right. We trade probably on an EV NAV basis probably about, well, according to some of the other analysts, roughly about half what we should be trading at on a peer basis. And I think part of that can be explained by the fact that some of those peers have more advanced resources, M&I, and that's the big focus for us this year, is to get as many of our ounces into that M&I category as we possibly can, because that's going to really quickly erode that discount, I think, that we're seeing. And then I think we're also paying a price of the lack of knowledge of the market in general around mining in California. I don't think that people truly understand what mining in California is all about. They see some headlines that have come out about some of our quote-unquote peer groups and the challenges that they've been having in advancing their work programs. And they don't look any further than that. And I think that far more nuanced than that, as you know. And, again, I keep reiterating, San Bernardino County has more operating mines than any other county in the U.S. They provide all of the construction materials, aggregate, limestone for concrete for the Southern California mining industry. This county is an area and a leadership that is involved, that understands the importance of resource development to not just San Bernardino but to the broader state. So again, I go back. Permits in 6 weeks. Show me another jurisdiction, Merlin, where you can get a drill permit for a 10,000 meter drill program within 6 weeks of application.
I like to think that it won't take many more of those kinds of examples for the track record to start to speak for itself.
Exactly.
I say speak for itself. You'll still have to communicate it.
I will.
Have you met the San Bernardino County Mines Department. I mean, do you have an engagement with them?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Look, I've met with leadership, district supervisors. Dawn Rowe, she is now the lead district supervisor. We were in District 1 with Supervisor Cook. We moved over to District 3. They reset their boundaries. So I meet with them regularly and keep them up to date on where we're at. You may have seen some months ago we brought George Kenlin onto our team. George was the most senior, most experienced permitting gentleman within the San Bernardino County. So we've got his expertise that have joined us. And yeah, look at we the permitting folks, etc. We meet with them regularly. One thing I've learned, Merlin, and my experience with the regulators working in Nunavut, the various water boards and land use boards, they don't like surprises, and rightly so. And I think if you can ensure you're bringing people along with you, you're going to go a long way to facilitating, at least timely and a smooth ride through that permitting process.
Thank you. It's really great to hear. I'd forgotten about George Conlon, or I never knew. So the contact with Dawn Rowe, who is the overall supervisor, has she made any? Have you communicated to her what an oxide mine looks like? Has she got any experience of that, or is her experience solely in the quarrying side of things? And what was her response to the potential oxide development?
Okay, well, look, we haven't got into the detail around what the development strategies might look like at Waterloo. I think really, Merlin, and on the back of the revised resource estimate that is pending, we'll start to get a more granularity on development opportunities and options for us. Regarding their familiarity with various mining styles, remember Mountain Pass Rare Earth is in that same district and is in San Bernardino County. And also remember that Equinox, Castle Mountain, is within San Bernardino County. So the county supervisors as a whole are familiar with, a number of different styles of mining in the county. Good
to know. Thank you. Coming back to the other element of the discount to peers, you have had a bounce off a share price of 12 cents to to double that to 24 cents today. So when you say that by some accounts you're trading at around 50% discount to your peers, that's off current levels, is it, today?
Correct. So there's still lots of room for us to grow.
Lots of room for you to grow. And the new mineral resource estimate, aiming for end of March, beginning of April, is that... Are you looking for the volume to grow, or is it principally the change from indicated and inferred to measured, indicated, and inferred?
Sure. We'll look at two things. Let me just correct you a little bit on that. First, timing. I expect this to get out in the earliest March. Okay, the revised resource estimate. So we've, as you saw today, we put out another 15 holes from our drill program. We've only got 13 holes left, and we'll get all those assays back, touch wood, and out to the market before the end of the month. Work by Stantec has already commenced on the updating that resource estimate. And the drilling that we have done has not identified any big surprises, okay? From a structural complexity perspective, from a geological model perspective. So it's hanging together. That inferred resource we put out was very, very robust. And I said when we put it out, we had been told it was more of an indicated level resource. The reason we couldn't call it such was we hadn't done any drilling. So the resource won't be complicated, okay, from a timing perspective. Are we going to grow it? If you have been following the story like I know you have, you'll see that we have been pretty successful at intersecting additional barstow beneath the base of the current mineral resource estimate, and not only that, identifying above current cutoff grade silver mineralization. So I think there is opportunities for us to add silver ounces into the overall resource. But make no mistake, the primary focus was really to get these ounces into M&I and allow us to get on with some robust engineering studies and get the project moving forward.
Thank you. You kind of touched on what I know the market's going to be baying for next. I mean, it's so funny. When you are a market analyst, you just say, well, why can't you just do this? And why can't you just do this? And then when you're actually running a company, you find it's like trying to move a super tanker with a matchstick. So the market will be baying for a PEA or some kind of economic study. And you mentioned engineering studies. Have you got a timeline and a plan on that? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it'd be good to hear your thoughts.
Sure. Look at, I mean, the short answer is yes. I think one of the questions that I still have in the back of my mind is whether we make that slight stop at the PEA level, or whether we get straight into pre-feas type activities, Merlin. But assuming on the assumption that we put a PEA out, we will charge into that right on the back of the revised resource estimate. Okay, and so given my experience with PEAs, I would expect something like a 12-week kind of 3-month. So I think that investors could start looking for that sometime end of the second quarter, kind of early third quarter of this year.
Okay, I hear you. I just I always worry when there's a tight deadline offered by a CEO, because I think, these things are so prone to slippage.
Oh, there's no doubt. But and again, I as I said, Merlin, my experience. I can go back to the Peregrine days, where we put the the preliminary economic assessment out for the Chidliak diamond resource. And look at that. It was, in fact, I believe it was less than 12 weeks. That makes certain assumptions on the availability of the contractors, the guys to do the work. Right. We have all the data, though. Okay, that's one thing that we definitely have. So the holdup won't be on my part, Merlin.
Well, the quicker you can get it out, the better it'll be for the company. So, all power to you.
Yeah, I agree. And we're aware.
And then that raises the thorny issue and the tricky situation of cash. The question of how you're going to fund this and the ongoing projects.
Sure. Look at our last financials. We had 10.8 million. They were August. I can tell you that we still have a robust treasury. The big spend is behind us, for the drilling. So we're cashed up to get the resource out and get the PEA out. The PEA will help define exactly what geotech drilling and exactly what met work we want to get done, and we'll design a program on the back of that. And then, look at our options for financing, taking into account market conditions as well as where we're at in the project.
Loud and clear, you won't come back to the market until you've got the PEA out.
Loud and clear, I will not be coming back to the market until I see, one, how the market responds to the moving of that material into measured and indicated, and how many million ounces of silver that we have. And if the conditions are right at that time, we may come out to the market. Otherwise, we'll wait and see what the PEA does. So we've got, I guess, the bottom line, Merlin, is I've got flexibility. I can kind of look at the market. I've got a working capital that will allow me to complete those activities and give me runway well into third quarter of this year.
Well, there we go. Fantastic. A really useful update. You've got plenty of news flow coming out in the next few weeks in the terms of the drill results, and it sounds as if you're shooting for a new resource update just in time for PDAC.
You hit it in one. Yeah, that is it. Yeah, look at. I want to make sure, and what we'll be doing on the back of that, Merlin. We started doing additional marketing in November this year. I think the market responded quite well to getting updates on the story, and I think on the back of the revised resource estimate, we'll look to continue to increase those marketing efforts and make sure we get as many eyes on the story as we possibly can, because it is a very, very good story.
Well, good. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you here, perhaps after PDAC.
You will see me in London in March.